Today I'm going to talk about something that is very, very difficult for a lot of people to deal with. And, how do we face death, or how do we grieve, or how do we handle the news when tragedy in our family, a loved one is coming or has happened? About a month ago, that our dog Maverick ended up not wanting to go outside. And every morning, Maverick would just jump. I'd have fun trying to put his collar on. He was just so energetic to go for his walk. And this day, he just didn't even want to go outside the door. So we knew there was something wrong. So we called the vet, and it was a Friday. They didn't have an appointment until Monday. So we ended up saying, okay, let's see what happens during the day. Saturday, he was back to himself. Sunday, he was back to himself again. He was running around. And Monday, we said, well, let's keep that appointment that we had and find out, what had happened. Come to find out that what had happened was that his stomach was full of blood, his abdomen. The vet told us to take him to hospital to do exploratory surgery and to determine why he had that. But most likely is, he had a tumor that somehow blew up. Certainly enough, we take him to the veterinary hospital. You talk about people being cruel and how they give you the news. My dad died of cancer, and I remember the doctor telling me, take him home because he's going to die and any day now. And I was like, Doc, he is a human being. I mean, can you just tell us that news a little better? And instead of just go home because he's going to die, might as well die home. God, it's not like a plant that you're processing or just something you're throwing away. Anyway, so we took him to hospital and they examined him, and they're like, we need to tell you that you should say goodbye because only 1 out of 10 dogs make it out of the surgery. And it was devastating for our son, Esteban, for my wife, even for me. But I've come so close to seeing death so many times in my life, and seeing how my dad died in my arms that, I just look at death as something that is natural, something that will happen. Not something that we want, not something that we desire, but something that's going to happen, that is inevitable. And, I just try not to think about it and know that, everything is in God's hands. I mean, that's difficult to really deal with when you think about it. So my son broke down. It was horrible. We left him there at 4 o'clock. We did not hear back from them till 1. They told us they would call us after the surgery if he even survived. And we didn't hear back till 1:30 in the morning. So we were in pins and needle, and they're like, he made it out of surgery fine. We didn't see no cancer anywhere in his liver, or we just removed the spleen. He had a tumor that blew up. He lost a lot of blood. So he stayed in the hospital for 3 days, and every day he was getting a little better and better. And they said, but look, we have to wait and send the biopsy out. So the biopsy went out, and today, Monday, the news came that he does have cancer. And it's devastating for my son, Esteban. He's very, very close to a dog. He's never, ever experienced death before. So it's very, very difficult. Very difficult for my wife because this dog was her shadow, or is her shadow. He's still with us. And it's really sad because they tell us that he's going to be fine and look like normal for the next 4 months, but the cells are in him, even though they didn't find no cancer in the liver. The cancer cells are in his body, and he'll die 2 to 6 months. I mean, that's tough. Really, really tough. So how did I deal with it? I don't look at the fact that he's leaving us. I look at the fact that, I enjoyed 7.5 years, hopefully. At the end, still in God's hands. I still believe in miracles. Now, will God heal him? I'm praying that he will. I'm going to believe that he will until the moment he leaves. Why? My son says, why, Dad? And, the cells are there. He's going to die. And I'm like, well, yes, but so are we all going to die one day. So why should I be mourning his death right now when he's alive? Why don't I celebrate his life? So why don't I focus on that God gave us, let's say that he dies in the next 6 months. So God gave us 8 amazing years with an amazing dog that has become part of our family, that we love dearly. But I never ever been sick before. Instead of questioning God, why are you taking our dog? And I'm sure that that's what my son is doing right now. And it's very, very, very painful for him, and very, very painful for my wife. We haven't called our daughter yet. We're getting ready to call her, but We wanted to wait till she was out of classes because it just made no sense to call her and let her suffer in the middle classes. So again, how do we handle that news? What is the mindset that we develop? Or how do we become callous that we look at death as something that happens constantly and we're just going to expect death? How hard is it to go through life thinking that everyone we love is going to die? I mean, I would imagine that's so difficult. And I told my son, why do I believe in miracles? Well, I said, imagine if I had gone to a doctor and they discovered my heart defect. At 25, that doctor would have told me what my cardiologist now at 66 tells me. You will die before 30. Well, I'm 66. I'm here. My cardiologist said, I said, Doc, I did Ironman. He said, oh, you should have died then. Doc, I did a lot of scuba diving. You should have died then. And stress. Well, I didn't want to tell him about what real stress is. As you imagine an airplane leaving the United States to go to Colombia to pick up a load of cocaine and come back, everything that could happen in the next 24, 30 hours. You talk about pins and needles. I mean, the plane could get to Colombia and crash. The plane can get to Colombia and be shut down. The plane could be shut down on the way to Colombia. Or the plane could fall like mine fell on the way to Colombia. Or then, worse yet, the plane can load up in Colombia and head back to the United States and then be caught somewhere or have an alternator failure like I did and go down in the middle of a jungle in the middle of the ocean. I mean, that was unbelievable stress. But I lived through all that. I lived through being shot at. And I'm alive. And I'm 66. And I will die. Yes, we all will die. But my mindset doesn't tell me to live a life feeling that any minute I can die. No, I live a life saying, thank God for every day I get to live. Because every day I get to live is a blessing. You know, our life on this earth is very minimal. I mean, if God blesses us with a lot of years, let's say we live 100 years. What is that? What is 100 years? You know, in the view of eternity. You know, because I believe I'm going to spend eternity with God, with Christ, with my mom, dad, loved ones that I've loved, that I've lost. And if that's not true, by the time I die, it doesn't matter. But it's the mindset through which I live. And it doesn't mean that I live in denial, thinking that, this is not going to happen. No, death is a real thing. And it does happen and it will happen. It's probably one of the few things that is guaranteed in life. But we can't live in fear. See, to live in fear is to tell people is to actually recognize the weaknesses in our mindset. To live in fear means that we just don't live, we exist. See, there's a big difference between living and existing. When we live, we enjoy life to the fullest. And we enjoy those loved ones to the fullest. You know, we invest in the life of our friends. We invest in the life of our children, of our grandchildren. So that when this short life is over with, we really should live with no regrets. You know, the day that they tell me I'm going to die tomorrow, or I'm going to die in an hour, or I die, I have no regrets. There's nothing I would change. I made a lot of mistakes. I sure did. Did I want to make those mistakes? No, I didn't, but I made them. And I can't erase them. They're there. Every choice we make becomes part of our story. But see, my story was not ending with the choices I made as a young, stupid, ignorant, egotistical, selfish young man. My story is going to end that I changed, that I found faith, that I found and fell in love with Christ, that I found the God that forgives. I found the God of second chances. My story will end that I found love. I married the most amazing women in the world that I'm so madly in love with every day of my life. I am so blessed to wake up to this amazing woman. And God gave that to me, and I believe that with all my heart. So therefore, how can I now, in pain, in suffering, ask God, why Maverick? He's only 7.5, he's going to be 8. Why him? Why take him from us now? Or worse yet, we have a very, very dear friends that have nothing. They've dedicated their whole life to serving God. That's all they ever done. And now the wife at 60 something gets diagnosed with breast cancer. And God knows what's going to happen. But she's going to live by faith. And we're going to believe by faith and believe in a miracle. See, every day of our lives, I believe in a miracle. If nothing else, we see miracles all around us. Life is a miracle. You know, the fact that we can breathe, freedom in this country is a miracle. You know, so every day, everything that we see is a miracle. And yes, there's pain, you know, there's suffering. It's part of life. There's darkness. But you know why there's darkness? Because you know the definition of darkness is only the absence of light. If we only allow darkness to enter into our heart and we don't have any light, it's going to be an ugly life. And it's going to be a depressing life. There's a lot of people hurting out there. So when we focus on our pain, which is normal, then, you know, we really, to a certain extent, are being selfish. Because instead we have a choice. Do we focus on our pain, the half empty, the glass half empty? Or do we focus on the fact that so many great things in our life? The fact that we breathe. The fact that we can go to the bathroom like a normal person without a bag. What a blessing. The fact that we got 2 legs to walk, 2 arms to touch, 2 eyes to see, and 2 ears to hear. Those are enormous blessings. The problem is that as selfish human beings, we focus not on what we have, but what we do not have. And then that's just no way to live. I live my life to the fullest every day. I exercised this morning. I woke up. I knew I had to go to an appointment early, which I never set. And my wife and I worked out for 45 minutes. And then I took a shower, got dressed, and I felt good about myself. I feel that I'm taking care of my body to the best of its ability. I came home and I prepared. I'm going to do cauliflower rice. And am I suffering inside? Yeah. And my wife looks at me to a certain extent and she wonders man, how is his heart so hard? It ain't hard. My heart is soft. I cry over people that are suffering every day. I cried over the possibility of this invasion of Ukraine and the many innocent lives that will die on both sides. On the Russian side, young men that will come home to their families in body bags. And the Ukrainian side, young men that are going to be devastated. All why? Because of the ego of one man. The selfishness of one man. Death is all around us. Death is actually more natural than life. But we cannot allow death to kill us while we're alive. Think about that. We must not allow the thought of death to kill us while we're alive and not be able to live. Death will come. Pain will come. That unexpected news will come. But it's not the news that comes. It's how we handle it. It's not how we fall in life, but how we get up. It's not how we focus on our weakness, but how we just ignore them and recognize the strength that we have. We all have a lot of strength. You know, mental illness is a serious problem. And it's more of a problem because for so long we have ignored it. I was ignorant to the fact of mental illness. My wife suffered from clinical depression. And there was a period in our lives which it was really, really dark, where she would wake up barely able to dress our children, get in the back seat of our car in a fetal position and cry till we picked up the children from school. And I'd drive all over, meet all my clients and do my job while my wife was in the back suffering. I didn't understand that because I thought for the longest time that depression was nothing but being lazy. You know, hey, you're in bed, you can't get up because you're depressed. Get your ass up, go to work, and you'll be undepressed. No, it's not. It's real. Depression is real. Loneliness is real. A lot of people are suffering, but when you and those who see this video to know that you're not alone. That we can be there for each other and help each other. My wife has been doing amazing for the last 14 years. she had to get her medication. And some days she has a rough day, but then you know what? She'll focus on the blessings that she is enjoying. And you know, so many people can say, yeah, it's good and easy for you, George, because you know, you're wealthy. But you know what? There was a time when I went into prison dead broke after being a multimillionaire for many years. And I was happier that time than when I had all the money, women, cars, and mansions. Because I have meaning for my life. See, I don't care how much money you have. If you think that money is what's going to get you over depression, or money is what's going to get you over feeling sad and lonely and weak and defeated, no. Money will do none of that. Money is nothing but, you know, a piece of paper. The only value it has is what the value you give it. But true worth, true value, is in your mindset. It's in your heart. It's how you love others. How you feel for the pain of those that are suffering, so that when you suffer, you can just start thinking about those that are suffering worse than you. Because no matter how bad things get in your life, there's others that are having it a lot worse. You know, there's a lot of lonely people. And we're looking at an entire world that's becoming lonelier and lonelier. Technology was meant to do great things, but technology has brought friends that are far away closer, but it has just taken those that are so close to us so far away. You know, my children text, and I tell them, don't text me, I still got 2 ears. Call me, like I call my mom and dad. You know, I made it a habit. I turn my phone off at 6 o'clock. And guess what? The world goes on. And I have a happier family. And I have a happier marriage because I was stuck to that phone for 24 hours a day. At the end of the day, there's so many things you just can't solve. You know, I ran a drug empire without a cell phone. But we've allowed that cell phone to control our lives. And we allowed the cell phone to go ahead and educate us as to what we need to do with death. How do we handle death? The truth of the matter is, the way you handle death is to know that it's a natural thing. That we are creatures, that we were created. We will live and we will die. Our pets created also, I believe, that live and die. But the world doesn't end with death. As a person of faith, I believe the world just begins for me with death. So when I look at my dog Maverick, yes, I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him wanting to run and play and look at me with those eyes. And it's painful. But then I believe in my heart that I'll see him again. You know, Pope Francis said that dogs go to heaven. If that's just a joke or if that's a fake, I don't give a damn. I'm going to believe it. And if I believe it, that's all that matters to me. Because again, is my mindset. The mindset that allows me to believe what is good. And not to live in obscurity and deny that bad is there, but just not to focus on that. See? People say, I don't have enough time. But we all have 24 hours. It's what we do with them. People say, you know, I just don't feel like I can achieve anything. Well, then just erase the mindset and tell yourself that there's nothing in this world that someone has done that you cannot do. People say, I have a horrible marriage. I fell out of love. No, you didn't fall out of love. You're choosing to allow your mindset to say you don't love a woman that one day you loved so much. There's no such thing as falling out of love or falling in love. What is it? You know, you fall off a chair. You fall off the sky. You fall off, you know, in the floor. No. Love is a choice we make. We choose to love and we choose not to love. Me, as a person of faith, I choose to obey God when He said, love one another as I have loved you. Think about that. Religion makes all these rules that just suck. That tell you all this do, don't. And it's really, really simple. We don't need all those mandates or all those precepts. We need to live by two. Just two. Love God with all your heart, mind, spirit, and soul. And love your brother as yourself. Who is your brother? Everyone that has been created by God. Yes, that African American. Yes, that Asian, that Hispanic, that redneck, that white man, that yellow man, whatever, whoever. Everyone created by God is my brother, my sister. And I am to love them. And then, but they said, but that person is unlovable. No. I'll love that person for their faults, in spite of any virtue they have. Because see, I control love. And as long as I love people, I believe one thing. The most hardened of all hearts will respond to unconditional love. So therefore, my brothers and sisters, how do we handle death? How do we grieve? We focus on the joy we've had, not the joy we're not going to have. We focus on the time that we have spent with our loved one versus the time that we're not going to spend anymore. And if you're a person of faith, then you focus that you will see that person, that animal again. That's how I handle death. That's how I handle those news. I look at death more natural than life. But the truth of the matter is I don't let death destroy me. I look at death as something where we pass from one stage to another. I don't focus on death. I focus on life. I don't focus that my dog has got 2 months or 6 months or 4 months, as the veterinarian said. I focus that every day I have him is a gift from God. And the day he leaves, I thank God for the days I had. Same way I do with my father. Will I miss him? Of course. Do I miss my father? Every day I cry for him. It's been over 25 years. But it's not the end. See? There'll be a tomorrow. And that's just the cycle of life. It is the cycle of life. What's important is not to fulfill that cycle or complete that cycle in defeat, in pain, in fear. Complete the cycle in victory. Because there is a God that loves. How do we handle death or the news of death? We don't smile. We cry. We grieve. But we rest upon the joy we've had, not the joy that was not guaranteed. Be blessed.